room that has used motivational or bulletin board material over the history of their entire career to go out and play at a high level, ammunition when you're playing against them in the biggest game of your life.
All salient points. Willie, devil's advocate, Mike Robb, is it possible that this kind of attitude is exactly what the Rams need going up against Brady, one without the reverence that he's typically shown?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is basically talking themselves into it, saying that, look, he's not God, okay? He's not a guy that's not human. You know what I mean? And I think part of it is talking themselves into a state of mind that they're getting themselves excited about this game. Look, Father Time is undefeated. I agree with everything Willie said. It is undefeated, but yet Tom Brady, man, to me, what makes him special is his selflessness. Like the fact that each year they reinvent themselves. Each year he's not into throwing for the most yards, having the most touchdowns, all of those things. It's just all about winning. At any time, he can just say, you know what, let's just run the football, and this team turns into a smash mouth running the football type of team. To me, that's what separates Tom Brady from all the other greats that has played this game.
I think you're exactly right. And what you mentioned right there at the end about if they want to run the football, they'll just run the football. What is not, okay, maybe what's diminishing is his physical abilities. I don't think that anyone would disagree with what Roby Coleman said. I think that we all would see, yes, possibly, but he's also very sharp. He's extremely sharp. He's still there. He still knows what defense you're in before you even line up or before you even get the call based on other people's alignment. So I think that the real fault here was that he said it publicly. I would hope that the Rams feel this way because, and you know this, Mike, when you're in meeting rooms, a lot of times when guys say things outside to the media, a lot of times it's what they're being told in the meeting rooms to give them a chance, right? So that's what's really interesting to me is like you hear him say this, and you're like, well, someone's saying that to him, right, to get your fuel going. But unfortunately, he said it now to everyone, right? And so that's the issue. But I don't think that there's anything, false in what he said. I just think that he missed maybe the biggest component is how sharp Tom Brady is. This dude is an absolute master at the line of scrimmage. So he's going to have to be on his game if he's going to take care of it.
Willie, how will the Patriots potentially use this? Because you mentioned that Tom Brady takes motivation and he maximizes it. I mean, that 199th player drafted thing has fueled him forever. So we know he's been looking for new things, and this might be that new thing. How will it come up? Will Bill Belichick mention it? What do they do?
I'm sure everybody's talking about it in the locker room because players are human. We do read the headlines, and in that locker room, the staff makes sure we see every single headline and everything negative when it has to do with us as a team going in. The other thing is he better expect to have a lot of targets because the one thing, if you call out Tom Brady, we always talk about his competitiveness and being one of the bigger competitors, he's going to test you and see if you're ready to back up everything that you say. So if you're going to be guarding Edelman, if you're going to be playing zone or man, or you thought the defenses they went against were weak, you're going to get tested. You're going to have targets you're going to get thrown at. And you know what? As a competitor, you want that. But, the one thing I will say, and I'm listening to Mike Robb and I'm listening to David, I don't care if it's Sue, if it's Talib, or whoever I've ever played against. I may have had thoughts about them being bums or not as good or overrated or whatever the case may be, skills diminishing. I would never, ever, ever let them know it going into a big game, even if it was a regular game. And you're supposed to think like that. So we're going to see what's going to happen. I'm just saying he better be ready to play the game of his life.
Well, I tell you what, Roby Coleman does not have a podium tonight, but he will have a big crowd of reporters around him, curious to see if he walks back these comments at all or if he digs in his heels. I'm also curious to see what his teammates say about all this. Tom Pelissero, you've spent the day at their hotel. What have you heard as far as reaction from the team?
Lindsay, I bumped into one Rams official who told me nobody here really cares that much about Nickeil Roby-Coleman's comments, and they didn't think that they were that inflammatory of comments anyway. I can tell you, I've personally spoken to Nickeil Roby-Coleman on multiple occasions this season. He is a naturally verbose, quotable guy. I'm just not sure anybody outside of L.A. noticed until he happened to land at the center of one of the great NFL officiating controversies that we've seen in playoff history. As you said, Lindsay, no podium for Roby-Coleman tonight, but every coach, every player will be available at Super Bowl opening night. I saw Roby Coleman get on the bus about an hour ago. He can certainly expect some questions on multiple topics. Among the notable Rams players who will be at podiums, running back Todd Gurley, who continues to insist that his knee is healthy, even though he's not been as productive since that injury. Got just 5 touches in the NFC Championship game. Also a couple of former Patriots, quarterback Aqib Talib and receiver Brandon Cooks, who also already answered some rare trash talk coming out of Foxborough from his old teammate Patrick Patrick Chung earlier this week. For more on the Patriots, here's Mike Giardi.
Thank you, Tom. Just got a text unsolicited from a Patriot player about Nickel Coleman's comments, and he said he can say what he wants for as long as he wants. We're not going to be about that. We're just focused on the Rams, end quote. And quite frankly, that's right out of the Bill Belichick manual. But I'll tell you what, it might be a little different at media night, 9 o'clock tonight for the Patriots. Players have been in and out of the team hotel for dinner. They'll head over sometime in the 8 o'clock hour for that, because when you're available for an hour and you have that much media asking you questions and sort of hounding you, well, maybe every once in a while something pops free. So that'll be something to monitor going forward. But certainly that has been the Patriots mantra. What you heard Willie say, they'll talk about it privately, but they won't talk about it publicly. And then usually that talking will come out during the course of the game. I'm sure if Roby Coleman has a couple of times where he can't cover Julian Edelman, I'm sure Edelman will let him know. But that's for the game on Sunday, probably not going to happen prior to that. So let's send it back to the studio.
Super Bowl success is better than Brady. He also has a ton of weapons. 7 guys with 30 catches or more. That's tied for most in the league. And obviously one of those guys won't be available on Sunday. Cooper Kupp on IR with a torn ACL, but that still leaves 6 guys that Goff could go to and has gone to often. I've got some sure-handed guys on my roster too, Reggie Wayne and James Jones. Reg, which of those targets will be most important for Goff on Sunday?
Now, I saw your list that you had right there, and I'm not going to agree with nobody on that list because his target should be these running backs, Todd Gurley, C.J. Anderson. And I'm not talking about throwing them the ball, turning around and handing it off. These guys have been the catalyst for this offense throughout the end of the regular season and throughout the playoffs. One thing that it does, it limits the possibility of Jared Goff making a mistake in the big game. So these guys can take a lot of that pressure off of them, because I'm expecting Bill Belichick and his defense for the Patriots to send a lot of pressure at them. So they need to get that run game going. And not only that, it also limits the chances of Tom Brady on that field. That keeps him on the bench. So if he's talking to anybody, turn around and hand the ball off to one of those running backs.
Yeah, how about those Patriots, James? Brady's got a ton of weapons too. Who's his most important target?
Well, we heard Roby Coleman, right? And that's the last thing the Patriots need is more bulletin board material. Listen, they are motivated to prove all the haters wrong, and then you get him coming out talking junk like that, saying Tom Brady's old. Who's his favorite target? I think it's Julian Edelman. Yeah. Roby Coleman plays in the slot. That's who he's going to have to guard. I think Julian Edelman is going to get a lot of targets because they want to prove to this kid that they still got it and they can make plays. And I think it's going to be a long day for Roby Coleman because, number one, the run game, and number two, Julian Edelman's going to get a lot of targets.
Yeah, Julian Edelman, massive for Brady in playoff games past. Know who else was? Adam Vinatieri, who is coming back. Thank you, guys. We'll get back out there to the arena there in just a bit. First, though, how about this? Reggie's Colts are getting their kicker back for 1 more year. Vinatieri's deal official today, $3.875 million, according to Ian Rappaport. Vinatieri, 46 years old and a Colt for 4 years longer now than he was a Patriot. According to Ian Rappaport, the Redskins are operating as if Alex Smith will not be available to them next year. The quarterback coming off a compound fracture in Week 11. If he is ready to go, they'll be pleasantly surprised, Ian says. In the meantime, there'll be a team to keep an eye on in the draft and free agency, looking for a starting quarterback for 2019. Anyone looking for a wide receiver might have to wait a little while longer. Ian Rappaport also reporting that the Steelers have yet to give Antonio Brown's agent permission to facilitate a trade. What exactly does that mean, Mr. Rapsheet?
What that means is essentially the Steelers hold all the cards here. They are going to be the ones that are going to receive offers for Antonio Brown. They're also going to be one to seek out offers. If they do, in fact, grant Antonio Brown permission to seek a trade, then basically it would be in the hands of Brown and his agent, Drew Rosenhaus. He can go seek out his preferred teams, including, by the way, potentially some of the Steelers' rivals. The Steelers would never want that to happen. They would like to be in control of this situation, either dealing Antonio Brown for a huge bag of picks that would come back. Obviously, we have had very few marquee players able to be traded at this level. It's been a long time. Or potentially the Steelers would be the one to say, you know what, he is not going anywhere. This is a relationship we can make work. All going to play out over the next couple months.
Thank you very much, Ian. Sunday's game, obviously the star of the week, and Saturday's NFL honors, our equivalent of the Oscars, offers some major pageantry. But Monday's opening night may have State Farm Arena, which tonight is home to Super Bowl opening night. Rams and Patriots doing the podium thing, answering all the football and non-football related questions those in attendance want to throw at them in the order that you see here. Rams from 7:10 to 8:10 Eastern, Pats from 9 to 10. And for more on what we're going to see, let's get a Super Bowl 53 opening night preview fueled by Gatorade.
Thank you, Lindsay. The sweet sound of the Atlanta Falcons drum line getting us ready to roll tonight. Opening night, kicking off Super Bowl 53 week inside of State Farm Arena. You'll hear first from the Rams, then the Patriots. 11 Patriots on the podium, but of course you'll hear first from Tom Brady in our exclusive one-on-one live chat with his former teammate Willie McGinnis. That's coming your way later tonight. But right after Brady, who do you want to hear from? Vote at NFL Network, either Julian Edelman, Gronk, or Devin McCourty. Right now I want to hear from these gentlemen once again, Michael Irvin, Kurt Warner, primetime Deion Sanders, all Hall of Famers, all Super Bowl champions. Now, Michael, we always hear out of the Patriots camp, they're so good at just making the Super Bowl another game. You buying that?
I don't ever buy that this game is another game. Look around us. Look around us. This is not like this for every game, so it's a huge game. And how do you continue to get your team prepared to play in this game? And one of the things Coach Johnson would always do after we won our first Super Bowl, we come back. He would have everybody in that room that hadn't won a Super Bowl stand up, because you're always looking for extra incentives to play hard and play well. And he said all of these guys have not won rings. The Patriots have 24 guys on that roster that have not won rings. We make sure they get their rings. That's what we said during his Zampese, and we got him one.
Well, and the funny thing is you watch the Patriots play all year long, you're like, it's not the same team. And then come playoff time, bang, something changes.
Right.
So they treat all the playoffs, including the Super Bowl, differently than everything else. It's like, that's a regular season. Now this is our season. But the one thing I will say is, when you've got guys that have been here 9 times, you got leaders that have been here 9 times, it may not be like every other game in terms of the stakes, but the way that you can prepare and the way that you can grab a guy and go, hey, I've been here before. Here's how I handle opening day. Here's how I handle the media. This is how I prepare for the game, because you got to find that alone time to be able to prepare on your own. So not like every other game, but having been here before, I think they're more familiar with how to handle this game than most other teams.
Robert Kraft is dedicated to winning. Bill Belichick may go down in history as one of the best that ever was. Tom Brady, arguably, is the best. The later two that I aforementioned, they have consistency or handling the moment. You never see the moment overwhelm them. I don't care what the score is. I don't care what the situation is. They're cool, calm, and collected. And I'll be darned if I would put anything I have against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in a game of this magnitude and multitude, because it's normalcy for them. It's a big moment, but it's normalcy for them to be here.
And they're going to have something time that nobody else knows they have.
You go.
That they will lay out in the fourth quarter of this game. You better believe it.
Prime, you've been riding with them all year on game day.
That's right.
I've been watching. Deion, by the way, this is the only venue in Atlanta where I don't think you played a home game. I think everything else you got covered. But
you're right.
You know what?
You're right.
You're always flying around here somewhere.
Here we go.
I don't know if you noticed up in the rafters.
Here we go. Where we at?
Where is he? Here he comes.
There he is.
Hey, I got hair. As long as y'all gave me some hair, I'm good. It's a nice head of hair. I'm good, baby. Thank you.
You never know. He might drop in tonight on opening night. We will see you at the top of the hour, 7 p.m. Eastern for opening night. Lindsay Rhodes, back to you in L.A.
State Farm Arena with the Flying Deion's the place to be tonight. On Sunday, this is the building where it's all going to go down, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Last event held there was the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl that was back on December 29th. It's been vacant since. They've been getting the building ready for the biggest sporting event of the year, the 3rd Super Bowl in Atlanta's history. First 2 were held at the Georgia Dome. Super Bowls 28 and 34, the latter of which a big one for our guy Kurt Warner, who would go back to the big game 2 years later and lose to Willie McGinnis, the postseason sack king, who's managed to wrangle for us a really busy guy this week playing host, Falcons owner Arthur Blank.
Special guest, and thank you for joining us, Mr. Blank. When I came through the airport and I saw the welcoming committee, the only thing I was missing was you out there dancing with them, having a good time, showing off those skills.
Well, I enjoyed dancing. I got to have a right reason to dance, though. So we'll be back next year, and I'll be looking forward to dancing then.
Well, for the last couple of years, you've been dancing around, putting this whole entire performance together, hosting Super Bowl 53. You've talked about the work that goes into it, and I would say you've done an incredible job.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's a great credit to Atlanta. You're obviously familiar with Atlanta. Last time you were here, you played, or last time you played here, you won, so congratulations for that. But we couldn't be more excited on behalf of Atlanta, on behalf of our Mercedes-Benz Stadium, all of the venues that are connected. Probably the most important thing, one of the most important things beyond the Southern hospitality is that of the 15 NFL events, 13 are within walking distance of our stadium. So it's going to be a great opportunity for folks to get around and visit everybody.
Putting all this together, you said it took a lot of time, a lot of work, and being the host, but you said it probably would have been kind of difficult if you had to play in this game and host it at the same time.
Well, I can't tell you that's the reason we're not playing it. I wish I could, but I mean, it's a big challenge to host one of these events and do it properly. We have a great host committee, got great support from the NFL, so it's but it's a big job to do it and do it correctly. Obviously, we look forward to playing it and look forward to coming back next year and have a chance to compete.
Mr. Blank, talking about playing in this game, kind of a disappointing season. You guys went 7-9 this year, 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. A lot of changes with the team coaches. What do you see some of the biggest things that are going to change going into next year?
Well, probably the most significant thing is that our injured players will be all healthy. They're all young players. They'll all be back, mostly on defense. Our running back, Devontae Freeman, will be back as well, 24 on offense. But we've made some changes in the coaching staff. Dan Quinn is going to be calling our defensive signals this year. Last time we did that, we were in the Super Bowl in 2016. We've added some great coordinators offensively, Dirk Cutter, who's very familiar with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. And so I think we'll draft well. We'll be active in free agency. We'll be in good shape next year.
You're excited about this young team and the coach.
I am.
And
it
Dan
is a young
Quinn
team.
And what he's done. And you've known, like a couple years ago, you had some misfortunes, but you could be very well back in this game sooner than later.
Well, I hope it'll be sooner rather than later, and I believe it will be. Of course, one of the beauties of the NFL is that every owner and every fan base feels that way in July and August. But I have reason to think that we'll have a very competitive team next year.
Some interesting calls this year. Your president and CEO, Rich McKay, is the chairman of the competition committee. I would say going into those meetings this offseason, there's going to be some different discussions and probably some things brought up of some people wanting some changes within the rules and regulations of the game.
Well, I think, in fairness, I understand, in this particular case what happened in New Orleans, but every year the league examines every single play throughout the regular season, postseason, playoffs, etc. And the committee, which is composed of folks like yourself and owners and general managers and coaches, will look at all the changes that need to be made. The integrity of the game is critical. Anything that we can fine-tune and make better use of technology, all those things will be considered. And I'm pleased that Rich, who's done this for 25 years, has done a wonderful job to really represent the game, not to represent even the league and the game, and represent our fans.
Mr. Blank, everybody I run into talk about what a great man you are, owners, players, especially the fans. Now, in your stadium, you got something special. It's called Fan First, where you have a menu where you have $2 hot dogs, $3 nachos, and $5 hamburgers. Will that be available for the Super Bowl game?
As well as $5 beers that's poured from 1,267 taps. So the answer is we established a fan-friendly pricing when we opened up the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And we really did it to show deep appreciation for the fans. I mean, our fans give us a lot. We need to find ways to acknowledge the passion, the energy, the time, the financial resources they give us. And so we announced this. It was interesting. A lot of the media said, well, you'll do it for 6 months or a year, but you're not going to do it beyond that. And the answer is we told them we'll do it forever. Then they said, well, you're not going to do it for major events like the Super Bowl or like last National College Championship. Next year, the Final Four. And we said the price is going to be consistent. So you know, we were voted last year by the NFL #1 in fan experience, Major League Soccer #1 as well. But part of that is because the hospitality they feel in the stadium. And one of the ways is that they can bring their family and not pay a nickel more than they pay on the outside for the same food and beverage, whether it be in restaurants or fast food places, whatever it may be. So we're proud to start that. And we've had close to 15 institutions, professional football, college football, institutions, collegiately, that are following us across the nation. We want to keep that trend up.
Well, the fans love you for that, and you already said that you'll be in the building watching the game.
Absolutely.
Super Bowl
yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
What's your favorite snack on that menu?
You know, unfortunately, I like them all. So I continue to have to stay in shape and work at it. But, you know, I love eating, and I love good food. And we have a lot of good food, and so it'll be an exciting time, and I'll look forward to snacking like everybody else, eating like everybody else.
Mr. Blake, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and enjoy your week of hosting.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful city. You've done a great job.
Well, I want to say also, you guys, NFL Network, have done a great job. It's not a plug commercial, but, you know, what you've done with the network has been fabulous, and it's a tremendous credit to on-the-camera folks like yourself and everybody else, and off the camera as well. And as one of the 32 owners, I want to congratulate the league and everybody that represents us on NFL Network. Beautiful job for us. Thank you so much.
I'm never going to rush you when you're giving us compliments. Thank you so much, Mr. Blake.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Lindsay, back to you.
Yeah, I mean, keep going. That's fine. Good stuff, Willie. Looking forward to your other interviews tonight. In the meantime, you are today's Golden Super Bowl moment, presented by McDonald's.
Brady looks to the back of the end zone. For Dorsett. For Brock open. Big catch. Throws it left for a wide open line by Miniman. Touchdown, Patriots. Got wings one. Caught by Cooks. Caught by Reynolds. Gorgeous throw by Goff. Robert Woods breaks into the end zone. Shoot your arrow. He takes the hand up of Brady. Driving into the end zone. To the pylon. Diving. White to the end zone. Gives to Michelle. Into the end zone. They give to Anderson. He runs over a Cardinal. Gurley with space. The goal line. He puts it in the paint. Touchdown, LA.
How many points will we see? Rams and Pats both pretty capable of lighting up that scoreboard, the second and fourth ranked scoring offenses in the regular season. And the Pats have even turned it up a notch since then, a combined 78 points in 2 playoff games. How do they do it? Well, let's do some film study here with David and Mike, who actually noticed something interesting about Jared Goff when he was watching film. What is it?
Yeah, and now, guys, look, I got to tell you this. Don't take what I'm saying crazily, okay? But I'm telling you, when I watch Jared Goff on film, he looks a lot like Tom Brady.
I agree.
A lot like Tom Brady. I'm talking about mechanically. It goes nothing to the competitive nature or anything like that. But look at how these guys sit on their back foot, right? In the loaded position, always ready to go. And watch how that front hip, how fast that front hip goes through, right? That provides a lot more whip in the motion, in their arm motion, and it allows those guys to be very, very accurate when they throw the football. You look at right here. Look how Tom Brady negotiates the pocket. Don't get too close to your offensive lineman, David. Stay back. Stay on that loaded foot. Don't step up into your offensive lineman and you deliver an absolute bullet. Again, Jared Goff right here. Look at all these things going on around him, but his feet stay separated enough to be able to get enough whip behind the football to throw it very much accurately. And to me, this shows it all. Look how I mean, you can almost marry the two together. Look at the loaded foot. Look at the back hip about to go through now. Tom Brady actually is a little bit more efficient with the ball coming out of his hand, but Jared Goff is young, and I think he's going to develop that efficiency in his throwing motion. But it's on tape. Film don't lie, guys. Tom Brady, Jared Goff, and I think it's all embodied in their quarterback coach, not the quarterback coach on their teams, but Tom House, the quarterback guru that a lot of quarterbacks work with. They try to treat their arms more like a tool, more like the guys in baseball, more like pitchers in baseball, and that's how they function their arms. I thought it was fascinating.
That is very fascinating. So his mechanics look like Brady's. What about his decision-making? Though the Pats are going to try and fool him, how does Goff maintain the upper hand?
Well, Sean McVay is the key factor here, and what they do in the play-action game. And everybody does play-action pass. Everybody uses it, but they do it differently. They allow guys to come across the field in motion and jet sweeps. Watch, the tight end here is going to come on a rim action, and then you have ghost motion with. So as a linebacker, you're looking at 2 different things. Is this a run? Is this a zone read? Sean Lee is now the only linebacker in position to make a play here, and Jared Goff, his intermediate throws are as good as anyone. He does a great job in that second level of getting the ball up and down before the safeties and over the linebackers. This is the exact same throw. Now we're going to throw it to Brandon Cooks. Same action. Tight end across the ball, with a jet sweep motion now by Robert Woods. And so as a linebacker, you have to respect both. Now you have caused another big chasm. There's not only 2 linebackers in position to make a play, and nice accurate throw right on the target to Brandon Cooks. And this is where now the passing sets up the run game. Watch Heath here, number 1 on our screen. He's going to have to respect this receiver coming in motion, and that leaves a ginormous, right? Is that a real word?
Yes,
ginormous running lane for Todd Gurley. And then if you give a guy like Todd Gurley enough room like that, he's going to score every time. So that's the real dilemma. They're going to have to really focus in on, hey, we got to give these linebackers one responsibility, play some man coverage. They can't let them be in a read-it-out scenario because Sean McVay will chew you up and Jared Goff will make the throws.
I got to tell you, I wasn't sure that we were going to have the storylines that we like for 2 weeks with the Patriots going to the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight year, but the Patriots versus the Rams has created so many interesting matchup storylines to watch. Really reinvigorated this whole thing for me. The key to being a match for 6, and he will be going up against a coach who is literally half his age. Belichick is 66. McVay is 33. It's going to be the largest age gap between opposing coaches in the Super Bowl in history. I said literally, I meant literally. They don't know each other very well. They just met last year at the Combine, but according to Sean McVay, they kept in touch, and he told Peter King this season he has basically texted me after every one of our games. After we beat Minnesota in September, he texted, man, you guys are really explosive and impressive and fun to watch. Congratulations, keep it rolling. For him to even take the time to say congrats, it's pretty cool. That's one of the things I like about our business, our fraternity of coaches. As competitive as it is, guys find time to share when they can. Hopefully McVay didn't share too much, because I can promise you that Belichick did not.
You think Bill will soften him up a little bit?
I think
you know what I mean?
You got to be
playing
careful.
coy a little bit. I used to do that to linebackers in this league.
Oh, you're great, man.
Him,
you know,
great man. You had a great game, man. You know, the way you moved and hit, man.
Impressive.
You know, it's impressive. And then when we play him, you know, I get after him a little bit.
They didn't tell you their secrets to doing that, though.
No, but through the course of conversation, they start to say certain things. I used to hit Patrick Willis up all the time, and he'd say,
Patrick.
certain drops, I would do this, and I'm like, oh, okay, you told me something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you, David, think is the biggest concern as far as Sean McVay going up against Bill Belichick?
I think it's the quarterbacks that they each have, right? So it's the situational awareness. This game, by all accounts, is going to be pretty close, right? If they all play the way they should, at the end of the game, it's going to come down to situations. And there were a lot of times just in the last couple weeks where I've seen Jared Goff and Sean McVay have conversations, right? And I've even heard or read some lips where it's like, oh, you didn't hear me?
Yeah.
Like, you got to get to that. That doesn't happen with Tom Brady, right? Bill Belichick or Josh McDaniels. Tom Brady is kind of an extension of the coaching staff. Jared Goff is trying to get to that point. Yep. So I think that if we're talking about a difference and a slight difference in this game, I think that is it, is the situational stuff where Tom Brady's going to know exactly what to get to. Jared Goff might have to wait to hear it or have it involved in the play call. So that's the thing that I see as maybe the difference.
Yeah, I agree with you. And to me, it's going to come down to you. Everybody knows that Sean McVay is talking to Jared Goff in his headset up until about 15 seconds left on the play clock, right? Mm-hmm. What happens when Bill Belichick and his defense adjust late in the play clock, go from a 4 down to a 3 down? It totally changes protections. It totally changes sight adjustments from receivers, all of those types of things. So for me, can Jared Goff process this information late in the play clock, as we know Bill Belichick is going to do something to take away Todd Gurley in this run game? To me, that's what this game is going to come down to.
I would be surprised if every defense didn't do that. Like, just show something different and then everybody move. Based on what we're saying and what we're seeing, make Jared Goff prove that he can adjust to that.
Yeah, and I thought last week Jared Goff made some big throws, made throws big enough to beat people in games with his arm.
Will he do that this week? Super Bowl opening night is the final chance the Rams and Patriots are going to
Must-see TV right there.
Our NFL legends get behind the velvet ropes for exclusive interviews with the game's biggest stars.
Bigger every year.
Hosted by Chris Rose. Festivities begin in prime time with special guests.
Willie, I'd quit right now then.
Super Bowl opening night, fueled by Gatorade. Live and unplugged. Coming up next.
In just a matter of moments, and look at that mass. That'd be fun to navigate your way, try and get up front at Tom Brady's podium. Good luck with that, everybody. There's going to be 11 podiums for each team. Rams up first in just a matter of moments. Reggie Wayne and James Jones, they're down in there somewhere. Reggie, who do you think is going to be the star of opening night?
You know what? I'm interested to see Rob Gronkowski, because we don't know what his future is. This could be his last game. So I feel like he's going to air all the laundry. He's going to give everybody what they're looking for.
James, what do you think? Reggie, you're wrong, by the way. Rob's not going to say anything about football. He's still got to play on Sunday.
Hope for thinking.
All right, cross your fingers.
I got to go Akeem Talib. Listen, this is one guy that played with the Patriots, that knows that building. So he's going to get a lot of questions probably about Tom and that Patriots organization as well, too. We might get a little bit of bulletin board material from Talib since he's been in that building already.
Akeem,
he know better.
Friend of the program. Does he? Does he know better? Or will he just get on the Nickel Roby Coleman train? Good stuff from you guys.
Hey, we'll
Thank
see.
You.
When you at.
Yeah. Mike,
I'm saying when you're answering a bunch of questions out here.
Yeah, sometimes you just let something slip inadvertently. Who are you excited to see?
Marcus Peters, and I hope we have the delay button on because there's going to be some foul language and all of that. But Marcus, keep doing it, man.
I don't know. I think we already have an early leader in the clubhouse. Wade Phillips shows up in his dad's jacket. I mean, come on. So right now he has like a 3-stroke lead, right? So good luck to everybody else that's teeing off after him. But I love this. Hopefully, maybe he wears it tonight. I don't think he will, but
dope,
it looked great. So I already like what he's been all about.
Rams have been all about the throwback unis. That's about as throwback
as you
can get.
Man, if you get us to wear it on Sunday, that'd be fantastic.
Feast for the eyes right there. I loved it. I'm going with Nickel Roby Coleman as the star of the night. Because even though he doesn't have a podium, he's going to have some splinting to do. And I'm curious to see where he goes
double
with that.
down? That's going to be
You know we'll be talking about it after the show. Another Total Access as soon as opening night is over. And opening night starts in 5 seconds. It is fueled by Gatorade.